will be quite long. I'll probably do it until my battery runs out, and then I'll do another one tomorrow. Uh, Welcome to my live vlog from the Romanian coup d'etat. There is a coup d'etat happening in Romania right now. I'm not sure to which extent you are aware, probably not such a big extent. Uh, but if you live here and you pay attention and you read the news, yeah. So what do I mean by a coup d'etat? The will of the people is being subverted through any means. It's gonna be a very long video, but despite, it's gonna be a very long video irrespective of the fact that I will really try to condense it as much as I can, because there's really a lot to be said. I will start with the conclusion and then I'll build my way up towards the premises. Romania is run by a network of foreign agents. There is no other explanation. So we've had elections on Sunday. The candidate that is most against Romania's participation in the war won by a landslide. And right now, it's not just that the entire propaganda machine was turned on. The Western propaganda machine. It's not just that. It's also the institutions. You have like the Romanian Academy. You have the universities. Everybody is just saying that they are for democracy and for Western values and whatever, meaning that they do not want to recognize the will of the people, and they support the other candidate, the runner-up, who is the most pro-war out of all of them. So there were 14 presidential candidates. This guy who won as an independent is the most anti-war, and he won by a huge margin. And the second candidate, who is pro-war, the most hawkish, and also supported by the most hawkish pro-war elements of Romanian society, this candidate is the runner-up, And so the final round is between these two. And of course, Romania being a frontline country, of course, all of you guys read the news. You know that Britain, France, the United States, they have already okayed the long-range missile launches towards Russia. Russia says that they are at war with these countries. These countries start discussing about a land operation, about sending troops to Ukraine. This is all in the international news. Of course, it's not really in the Romanian news. In the Romanian news, it's all about how the fact that the candidate who opposes the war is somehow a fascist, a communist, and a Putinist, everything at once, and a fan of the extreme right. He's basically the embodiment of the Romanian war leader from the Second World War. However, he fought alongside the Nazis until the very end. So I'm not sure how that goes, given that he's a candidate for peace and he's allegedly also a Putin puppet. So I don't know how all of these things go together, but this is what the propaganda says. Basically, the groundwork for the land war against Russia is being laid. And Romania, of course, cannot flip, because Romania is the land corridor. There are two land corridors, Romania and Poland. Hungary and Slovakia have tiny land corridors towards Ukraine, and also right now they have leaderships, despite Fico's assassination attempt and all of that. They have leaderships that are staunchly anti-war, pro-peace. And Romania has a leadership, is bound to have a leadership, if things go democratically, which is staunchly anti-war, just like a sane country should do, right? If you're on the front line against the biggest military power, the war breaks out, would you rather be Finland, like a neutral country in the Cold War times, or would you like to be the biggest bulwark on its border, So of course, this is about Romania's survival strategy. And it's not like, okay, let's say this peace candidate is maybe a bit too extremist in the sense that he's too much pro-peace. But like the other candidate who was pushed forth is the most pro-war candidate you can imagine, coming from a party which never made above 20%, and now was polling about 15%. That is the most extreme pro-American, run by foreign agents, I think. I was also a member of that party, and now these memories start coming back to me. I was a member of this party, of this pro-war party, for like, okay, in 2018, long before there was any vaccine crusades, any war crusade, all of these modern insanities. But like, these memories are coming back to me about discussions I've had with people there, and yeah, I think it was basically a creation of foreign intelligence services trying to take up to take over the Romanian state, which is actually now happening. So even though this party was not popular at all, it went from scandal to scandal, leadership problems, whatever. The candidate that they picked for the presidential elections is the weakest possible. She's completely illiterate, uneducated. She's a former TV presenter. She was just reading the prompter for the 5 o'clock news, and then she started in commercials for toilets and stuff like this, household items. So she, it's an understatement to say that she's unfit for the job. She's just like, she's I don't know, she has the level of preparedness for this position as any regular person from a small town in Romania, just picked up on the street. And she was never a member of parliament, she was never in the government, she has no executive experience. Just because she was on television, some people elected her to be mayor of a small town in the mountains somewhere in Romania. So this is her leadership, her like administrative experience. She has no idea about anything, but she's supported by this huge propaganda apparatus. And now I realize that um, when when you're faced with this situation, you have this dichotomy, a very clear-cut dichotomy. You have the war party versus the peace party. The war party also runs the weakest candidate possible, this lady, whereas the peace, let's say, party, although the guy is an independent, there is no party behind him. He's an ex-diplomat. He has a PhD in soil science. He teaches at the university here. He worked for the United Nations for quite a number of years. I don't know, it's kind of like, it's so obvious what the right choice should be. However, ever since the elections finished, the first round of the elections finished, and the results were known, this huge network of foreign agents became activated and started radicalizing the people with horrible propaganda. I feel like I'm back in November 2021, when the same network of foreign agents that runs the Romanian state and runs the universities, runs the media, runs the influencer networks, runs the corporations, everything, they all came with this extreme position that everybody who doesn't take the vaccine is a murderer. This is what I was hearing in those days. The main party, political party supporting this position was exactly this party that supports this lady now. They were the most brainwashed, completely extreme drones, and they were saying such extreme things, like they would put us into camps. I was having discussions with a lady from that party who was the head of the public policy department, so quite a prominent figure. They were trying to push through parliament this piece of legislation, stripping the unvaccinated from the right to work. And I was trying to persuade her not to do that, so to basically allow us to have our livelihoods. And she was completely in trance. She was like saying these crazy things, like, no, because you are murderers. My family is all in the hospital, in the intensive care unit because of you people, and they are all vaccinated, but because of the unvaccinated, they will now die, and we will have to put you in a city all for yourself and to build high walls around you. This is the kind of stuff that this lady was telling me, her being the head of public policy. Incidentally, I contacted her because I had also worked for a public policy think tank here in Romania back in the day, when I thought public policy was about public policy. But of course, it was just this Soros network trying to push ideology wrapped in some articles with graphs and figures attached to them. It's not like, oh, science-based policy. No, it was just like, okay, what do the foreign agents want? What do the foreign agents of the Americans want? This is what they want. Okay, so how shall we put some graphs to it so as to sell it as science? Just like it was during the vaccine time. So yeah, back then I really believed in the political science and public administration, and I thought that this party would make decisions based on facts and whatever, and I found this trance of deluded lunatics, this like uh, cohort of fanatics, as if they were members of the whatever death cult you can imagine, like Temple of the Sun, or those guys that went to Guyana to establish Jonestown. Complete lunatics, fanatics. They say stuff like, we believe in democracy, we should defend the values of democracy, and at the same time they say we should strip the right to vote from the majority of the people because they vote in the wrong direction. We should strip the vote from the poor and from the uneducated because they do not elect us, they do not vote the way we want, and they do not support the policies that we want. So it is completely unbelievable. And ever since this election result, ever since the first round finished and the results were known, it's like December 1989. I'm still waiting for some people to come on television to say that the water is poisoned. I mean, the level of intoxication, fear mongering, hysteria is just unbelievable. It's just through the roof. Like in universities and in high schools, there are these networks that disseminate the worst type of intoxication possible, that the far right is trying to take power and to establish a dictatorship, and that they need to fight, but they need to be vigilant because the far right have organized themselves into groups, and they carry weapons and they can't wait to maim these people and so on. Like I receive these pieces of intoxication on the university channels, forwarded by students from Instagram, from pages they follow on Instagram and so on. And it's like it's stuff with like blood and gore and stuff, and like all kinds of fake news, like people were attacked and so on. It's simply unbelievable, the level of intoxication. And so apparently the Romanians kind of managed to save themselves from this impending war by voting for this guy who definitely wants to establish peace. And the country is run by a network of foreign agents who want none of it and who will go to any lengths. This is what I'm surprised of, It's not like, oh, they're leaning towards... No. They're not now like completely rabid, They're like rabid dogs. And they're pushing this level of hysteria that I haven't seen since maybe I was a child and I was witnessing the so-called revolution on television, this level of hysteria. Or maybe since the vaccine crusade. It's like I see no other explanation than the fact that these people are foreign agents and they know that it's the last battle. It's like either they win and they probably put all the dissenters into camps and they start the war and whatever, or the sovereigntists win and then they lose power and they lose everything, and they are discovered to be foreign agents and probably reprimanded, or I have no idea what might happen to them. But it's like battle to the death, in Romanian society. And I'm quite shocked. I'm quite shocked that things happen like this. Of course, history will not be the same from this point onwards. There is a bracket closing, so from 1990 until 2024, irrespective of who wins the upcoming elections, things will no longer be the same. Romania will no longer be a democracy. So either the globalist Atlantist forces win and they will establish a dictatorship in order to launch the war, or the sovereigntists will win, and because their power will be contested so strongly and so vehemently, probably the Americans and these foreign agents networks are trying to organize a Maidan, just like in Tbilisi recently, just like they did in Kiev in 2014. So probably if Georgescu wins, we will have some sort of overt coup d'etat. Right now it's a covert coup d'etat because they're trying to do everything to prevent his win, including to cancel the elections. So they're going that far. They're trying to go to the constitutional court to have the elections cancelled and to have his candidacy banned. So you can imagine. Yes, Romanian democracy, good job. You voted, but you voted wrongly, so you're gonna have to vote again without that option, without the option that you elected, and you're gonna vote until you win, and until you vote into office whoever we want, not whoever you want. It's unbelievable. Like, okay, I knew that there was this discourse that Romania was a colony. I thought it's maybe exaggerated. No, no, no. We are exactly a colony. I mean, Burkina Faso used to be a colony of France, and until recently, a neo-colony, and it managed to free itself. You know, there was this military insurgency, and they managed to free themselves, or Niger, and now they sell the uranium to whoever they want. They don't sell it to France for pennies on the kilogram, or how it was. Romania is a colony. It's a colony just like these countries in Africa were. It's unbelievable, you know. Like it has been completely taken over by people who have Romanian citizenship, of course. Who most of them studied abroad. They were recruited by foreign intelligence services. I thought, like, my initial representation regarding foreign agency in Romanian society was like, okay, maybe there are like 20, 50, you know. But like, no, they're like tens of thousands. They were recruited by the ton, you know. They're like trucks full of foreign agents in every institution. You cannot explain this any other way. Like, you have the peace, you have the impending land war in which Romania is the bulwark. It's the #1 land bridge towards the front line. It's no discussion that Romania will be in the war. And you have this candidate who tries to cancel those plans, and to ensure Romania's neutrality. And then institutions of the state, these networks inside the Orthodox Church, inside the Romanian Academy, inside universities, who are leading these structures. It's not like, you know, there are some agents who now start becoming vocal. No, 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 no. It's like the leadership of these structures now activate themselves. Not to mention that all the political parties, except for the ones deemed extremist, so the sovereigntist political parties, apart from the sovereigntist political parties, you have the so-called social democrats, the so-called liberals, and the so-called these people, the Save Romania Union, whatever, these warmongers. They all went under the warmongers, you know. So the small fish ate the bigger fishes. The Social Democrats used to be the biggest party. Now they, because their candidate did not make it into the second round, they just dismissed the leadership, and now they are electing somebody who is from the same, who comes exactly from the same place and has exactly the same ideas as from the warmongering party, from the small Save Romania Union party, you know. So it was kind of like a party state, you know, the state party. It was the biggest party in Romania. Now it's becoming small, and it's also becoming a clone, a social democratic clone of this Save Romania Union party. And with the liberals, the same thing. And basically, you have this. The situation is in Germany, you know, this sort of work cabinet in which they all agree with everything. The entire political spectrum, the entire acceptable political spectrum, agrees to all the principles. They're all for all the agenda dictated by Brussels. They're all pro-war. They're all pro going into Ukraine. They're all pro everything, even though they are the entire political spectrum. So they represent the previous positions, which were center left, center right, whatever. They had a history of being against each other. Now everybody is just the uni party, you know. So yeah, it's absolutely shocking. It's of course obvious that the war will come, because no other thing can explain this level of mobilization in Romanian society, and how people are indoctrinated to just hate on their parents, hate on everybody, to hate on whoever votes for the right thing, you know, and whoever doesn't agree with this hysteria that the extremists are coming, because it's all a projection game. They are the true extremists, the ones that want to get us into the war, and who wants to fight against the biggest military power, you know. It's just like they're the ones pushing you for suicide. They're the leaders of the suicide sect. But if you call them extremists, you are the extremist, you know. This is how it works. So yeah, horrible times here. Unbelievable. Things will no longer be as they were, irrespective of who wins in 2 weeks' time. And maybe it's not even going to be in 2 weeks' time. They're now trying to cancel the elections altogether, to push for different candidates. Of course, the Romanians got hold of the trick, and of course they will vote en masse for the anti-war parties, which are very marginal. You can imagine, like, all the parties are now pro-war. Yeah, we will be NATO's bridgehead towards Ukraine, whatever. Of course, not saying that, but like, because this is not officially a topic of discussion. The topic of discussion is what's your opinion on history, and whether you believe in conspiracies or not, you know, these types of non-subjects. But yeah, so I expect political turmoil in the coming months here. Maybe the wisest decision, the most peaceful and wise decision, would be to cancel the elections, because that would buy time. You know, that would buy time for Donald Trump to get into office, to have some sort of deal with Viktor Orban and with Putin, and to just kill the whole war scenario. I don't know if it's really possible, but that might be an option. And postponing the elections by just invalidating them over and over again might be a good strategy towards that, towards buying time, because it's gonna get ugly either way. Even if Călin Georgescu wins, like, the level of penetration by foreign agents in Romania is so large that I can expect a mutiny. I don't know, from treasonous factions of the army, treasonous factions from the secret services. They might say, no, we are pro-NATO, we are pro-war, we will not get under your command, because the president of Romania is the leader of the army in case of war. So, and of course, if they go through with the elections and they manage somehow to ensure victory for this lady, it's gonna be political repression. The death squads from Ukraine that are financed by this party will come back to Romania as they promised and will start doing political attacks and political assassinations. They broadcast their intentions openly in the press that they're gonna do that. You know, this war party also has this paramilitary wing. Of course, if you ask its own exercise of projection. You know, if you ask the supporters of this party, they will say, no, they're the progressives, they're the pro-democracy ones, they're the whatever, you know. But like, they finance this paramilitary unit that fights in Ukraine and that issues death threats to everybody who does not want the war. They issued death threats, and they published a piece in a Romanian newspaper saying that they will come back to have terrorist attacks against the people who do not support the war, and political assassinations. They said it openly. So, yeah, it's just unbelievable, you know. I think Romania is just gonna be the exception of history this time, just like it was in 1989. All the countries from the Eastern Bloc fell because of the decision between Bush and Gorbachev at Malta. Only Romania did not fall because it was not part of that deal. It was not subject to the Soviets, so the Soviets could not just declare that communism is over there, and it had its own armed forces. It did not have the Soviet occupation forces, so that's why it turned ugly. It's probably gonna be the same thing now. It's gonna be a coup d'etat, orchestrated in one direction or another. Right now it's orchestrated against the will of the Romanians, but given that the stakes are so high, probably a counter coup will ensue if Romania is actually dragged into the war, because it's a losing war. Everybody knows that. Everybody who has two brain cells together knows that it's a losing war. Yeah, I think it's gonna turn ugly. And this is another reason why I'm doing this vlog in English, because I do not want to become popular in Romania, because you know what that would mean, right? So it's not good to have it's not good to understand things when you live here. It's not good to actually get to the bottom of things, because yeah, I don't want to be a hero. So I'm just doing this in English for the international audience. There's no chance that this might become viral in Romania, because I was asked to do an interview, and I did this interview on a channel of a friend of mine, and I specifically wanted it to be in English, because if it's in Romanian, you can imagine snippets of it can become viral on TikTok or whatever. I don't even want to imagine, and then I might get into trouble. So I don't want to have that, and I prefer to have it in English. Maybe I'll start doing some interviews on foreign broadcasts, on foreign podcasts, vlogs, regarding the situation in Romania. I wouldn't mind that. I'm sure that would be tolerated. As long as the war doesn't start, I can still stay here. I think it's quite safe. If the war starts, or if the first signs of war are on the horizon, I will of course leave the country. And that's kind of my vlog for today. So there's not much I can hope for right now. There's no solution envisaged on the horizon, and I'll keep you updated in further broadcasts. Until then, see you.